Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for December 23rd. December 23rd is the 357th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, with 8 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is numpty, which means idiot, dolt, or fool, a stupid or ineffectual person, as in confused numpties who have little idea of what they're talking about, or what a complete numpty. The origin of this word appears to be of Scottish origin, perhaps an alteration of numbskull, with the ending remodeled on the pattern of Humpty Dumpty. Numpty seems to have appeared in the lexicon in the 1980s, so fairly new for a word. Before we get started, I want to remind you that links to my research are included in the show notes. If you're wondering where I got this or that bit of information, check out those show notes. And with that, we're going to start in the year 1620, when construction of the Plymouth settlement began. 1 week after the Mayflower arrived in Plymouth Harbor, in present-day Massachusetts, construction of the first permanent European settlement in New England began. In 1783, George Washington resigned as commander-in-chief of the Continental Army at the Maryland State House in Annapolis, Maryland. In 1815, the novel Emma by Jane Austen was first published. In 1888, Vincent van Gogh chopped off his ear. On December 23, 1888, Dutch painter Vincent van Gogh, suffering from severe depression, cut off the lower portion of his left ear with a razor while staying in Arles, France. He later documented the event in a painting titled Self-Portrait with Bandaged Ear. Today, Van Gogh is regarded as an artistic genius, and his masterpieces sell for record-breaking prices. However, during his lifetime, he was a poster boy for tortured, starving artists and sold only one painting. In 1913, the Federal Reserve Act was signed into law by President Woodrow Wilson, creating the Federal Reserve System. In 1944, the execution of Eddie Slovic was authorized. General Dwight Eisenhower endorsed the finding of a court-martial in the case of Eddie Slovic, who was tried for desertion, and authorized his execution, the first such sentence against a U.S. Army soldier since the Civil War. In 1947, the transistor was first demonstrated at Bell Laboratories. In 1948, Japanese war criminals were hanged in Tokyo. In Tokyo, Japan, Hideki Tojo, former Japanese premier-in-chief of the Kwantung Army, was executed along with 6 other top Japanese leaders for their war crimes during World War II. In 1954, the first successful kidney transplant was performed by J. Hartwell Harrison and Joseph Murray. In 1959, Chuck Berry was arrested on Mann Act charges in St. Louis, Missouri. Now, you might remember that back in October we talked about his being retried. This is the precipitating event. On December 23, 1959, Chuck Berry was arrested in St. Louis, Missouri on charges relating to his transportation of a 14-year-old girl across state lines for allegedly immoral purposes. In 1970, the North Tower of the World Trade Center in Manhattan, New York was topped out at 1,368 feet, that's 417 meters, making it the tallest building in the world at that time. In 2009, Balloon Boy parents were sentenced in Colorado. Richard Heen carried out a hoax in which he told authorities that his 6-year-old son Falcon had floated off in a runaway saucer-shaped helium balloon, and he was sentenced to 90 days in jail in Fort Collins, Colorado. What some people will do for attention. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for us today. It's going to be a short one this time. As always, links to my research are included in the show notes. Thank you so much for watching. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Share this video with anyone you think might be interested. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Alrighty, back to work. Okie dokie, Smokey. Let's just rearrange that a little bit. That's not the way I like to tell it anyway. We don't need all those words. Is that right? I'm going to have to look at that. So many edits. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? She's not a man. And this is why I don't do live shows.